Okay, next pasuk, Mishlei 11:27. Yod Aleph Chaf Zayin. Shocher tov yivakish raton, v'dorish ra'a tevo'eno. If anyone wants to try to translate that, go right ahead. The only word I think you don't know is shocher, which is an old-fashioned term for to look early, meaning to like get up early to look. Like the word shachar is dawn, or to look diligently for something. Anyone?
Yeah, I'm thinking how to. So shocher tov.
Yeah, go ahead. Whoever.
The one who, I'm just like kind of guessing, the one who looks early for good.
Okay.
Will seek goodwill. Ratzon.
Okay, good. We'll seek. Okay, good. We'll seek. Goodwill. I think is actually a good translation, or favor. I think is the typical way our score translates it. Oh, we got Yosef also. I feel like we haven't seen you in a while, Yosef. Welcome back. We need all the help we can get.
Yeah, I've been super busy with work this year.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad you're here. Okay. Vidorish. I'm also glad Isaiah's here, but Isaiah's here every week. All right. Vidorish ra'a tovo'eno. Yeah. Ayala, you want to take that?
And one who seeks bad, it will come. I don't know what the new is.
Yeah, I think it will come to him.
Okay.
Yeah, it will come to him. Okay. So, seems pretty vague. Seems pretty vaguely Mishleic. Yeah. Okay. So let's look and see what our minimalist Mefarshim and translators say. ציון just says shocher is inyan drisha. It means seeking. Kamo v'shacharu kel means they, for example, like they sought God. Okay, so that's just translating it. And then I think Targum is a literal translation because he says, oh no, okay. So he says demakdim tavasa, one who actually that's slightly different. One who like preemptively does good. So he's learning as getting up early, but like doing the good early, not getting up to look for it early. Okay. Bait Siviana seeks favor. V'tavea bishtan, one who like seeks out or demands evil, asya aloy, it will come upon him. Okay, so he just, the only thing he helps us with is a different translation of one who is what is it called? Shocher tov. Yeah, okay, fine. Art scroll. Okay, art scroll. You see that art scroll had a hard time with this because art scroll had to add in a bunch of words. He who seeks good for others seeks God's favor, but he who searches out evil for others, it will come upon him. Okay, not that there's anything wrong with taking it that way, but like, the more words you have to add, the less strong it is maybe. Okay, Living Nach says he who seeks good pursues appeasement. Okay, now I know where he's getting that from because I'll just say Rashi. Rashi will often quote old French words. So Rashi says like, I can't say the old French, affimon, I don't know, appeasement. So he translates this as appeasement, which I'll add here. Okay. Like for example, a usage of that would be like, if you sin against your friend and you do tshuva, you don't get atonement ad shi'aratze es chavero, until you appease your friend. So that's like raton, like appeasement, like them being on good terms with you. Okay, and
by all korbanos, really.
Oh yeah, ritoy, right? That is true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I announced it at the very beginning. I'll announce again. I'm going on very little sleep, and so if you think I made some sort of egregious mistake in something that I said, then feel free to call me out on it because I probably did. Yeah. Okay. So, and what else happens? Oh yeah, and he who looks for evil, it will come to him. Okay, the second part's the same. Alter says, who seeks out good pursues favor, but who looks for evil, it will come to him. Okay, fine. So I think we're, let's just wrap it all into this. Hold on. One who looks early or diligently for good, or one who preemptively does good. Okay, will seek goodwill, favor, or appeasement, and one who seeks bad or evil, it will come to him. Okay.
Are seek and pursue the same thing?
Depends on who you ask. So if you ask the Malbim, which is one of the Mefarshim I do kind of want to do today, maybe. then he'll say that that it is different. And all we have so far, seek is like the neutral word for it, okay, or seek out. But shocher does have the implication of either early or dawn, okay, or was the other one? It also means youth, okay, like, but I think the reason why we call, like, there's a pasuk in Kol says, wait, am I making a mistake? Give me 1 second. There's a pasuk in Koheles in 11. Yeah, Shacharus. And Shacharus here means blackness or dawn of youth. Yeah. So it could also mean, it has like an implication of youth, but I think that comes from the fact that it's early. And Shachar, why does Shachar mean dawn and black, like Shachor?
I mean, isn't it before? Because it's dark.
Yeah, it's like right before. Yeah, dawn is the period right when it goes from black into light. So if you have like, without going through all of Tanakh and finding words of shocher, you have like somewhat slight like implications or like overtones to shocher, meaning something about early or young or like dark. Okay, but that's all we have to go with. And then there are many Mepharshim who are going to just say that it means the same thing.
What about for Yivakesh though?
Yivakesh is also a similar thing. That one I don't know the difference between Yivakesh and Doresh. Yeah, let me just for kicks, let's just click on the BDB dictionary on All Torah and just see what they give us. Okay, so let's click on Yivakesh. They translate as seek. Okay, seek, seek to find, seek to secure, seek the face, desire, demand, require, exact, ask, late, or request. Okay, and then for Doresh, we have resort to. That's interesting. Seek, try to place, resort to, frequent, seek, consult, inquire of, seek deity in prayer and worship, ask for, require, demand, seek with application, study, follow, practice, seek with care, care for. Yeah, so you can see there are differences. I don't know enough to like be able to tell what they are. So we'll keep them. Let's put it this way. Let's keep them as synonyms unless someone has an idea where they have to be different, and then we'll have to investigate whether they should be different. Okay, but I'll add that as a question here. Okay, what is the difference between the three terms for seeking here? Okay, shocher, yivakesh, and doresh. Okay, other questions? Yeah, Isaiah.
So what kind of ratzon are we talking about?
Okay,
there's the different translations, but I feel like even if you go with any of them, we still don't know what it means.
Yeah. Okay, what does ratzon, goodwill, favor, appeasement mean in this context? Okay.
And can I footnote that or like extend that to like, how does that differ from tov?
Okay, and how? I'm gonna actually make that into a separate question. What does tov, goodness, good, mean in this context, and how does it differ from ratzon? Okay,
what's the way of like fleshing out kind of like these questions all together is like a very, if you like put them as all the exact same definitions, it's kind of like one who looks for good will look for good.
Yeah, right.
And one who will look for bad
right.
will something, which
that doesn't have like the biggest pasuk in all of Mishlei. Yeah. Okay, my dad had a question. I don't know if. Yeah. You're muted. I don't know if you're trying to talk.
I had the same question. Okay. What is the nature of the good that we're talking
about? Good. Ariel?
Yeah, this sounds very obvious also.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so yeah, I'm actually not going to write that this time. I think I agree with you though, but I think it does sound obvious. Yeah.
I know, it's just Isaiah and I, we were talking over Shabbos, and like I think I think in every pasuk you could always ask, it's either obvious or it's like, what is it talking about?
Yeah. That is definitely the case. Yeah, Avi.
Yeah, what's kind of throwing me off is Yivakesh Ratzon. It sounds like it's a bad thing. Like my first instinct is to say that it sounds like they're like seeking goodwill or favor or appeasement from others.
Right. Okay. So
but I would think that Shocher Tov would be a good thing.
Okay. Yeah. So when you say Shocher Tov, it sounds very noble. And then when he's seeking favor, that has kind of like a less savory implication here. Yeah. I'll just write sounds like unsavory. I don't know if that's the best word for it. Yeah, Yosef.
The Vidarish Ra Tivanu is like kind of anti a lot of Mishleic ideas. Like a lot of ideas are about how like the guy who seeks Ra will fail at that. So what exactly is the Ra here? Right.
Okay. So just in terms of pshat here, is your question premised on the fact that like like he'll get what he's looking for?
Yeah, it sounds like that's what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
Not use a separate like noun.
Okay. So
the Ra is what he'll get.
Okay, so I don't know if anyone does say that, but the majority of people take it that the Ra that he's seeking will come back to him. Like he's
seeking it for others, and then it'll happen.
Yeah. But we'll ask the question here anyway, which is let's just say, what does it mean to seek bad or evil? Okay, in this context, I guess towards whom, right? And then what does it mean that the bad or evil will come back to him?
Rather, like what will come back to him? Is it the evil or is it the good we were talking about, the goodwill we were talking about earlier in the pasuk?
Okay, yeah, that I don't think anyone says that it's the good. Yeah, I think it's the.
I didn't think of that either until
right.
I heard.
I think it has to be the bad also because Tov is masculine and Ra is feminine, and this is Tevu. I know.
Cool.
Yeah. Always nice when the little amount of grammar I know can help resolve a reading. Okay, Isaiah.
Yeah, so I feel like normally when we would say like Yivakesh, it would be talking about something someone's actively doing. Yeah. Like they're doing an action which is like seeking out glory or something. But here it sounds like it's just an effect of their being shocher tov.
Okay.
So are they actively seeking ratzon, or are they passively seeking ratzon?
Okay. So what I'm gonna ask a question in this way, and you tell me if this captures what you're asking here. Okay. I'm gonna say, what is the relationship between shocher tov and Yivakesh ratzon? Okay. Is the latter the motive for the former, or is it a result or something else? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, Ariel?
Yeah. In the parentheses, or actually one who looks early on, for good, or one who preemptively does good. What's the difference between that and normal, like doing good?
Okay, yeah. All right, so let's we didn't even ask what shocher tov means. I mean, I guess we kind of asked that here, but yeah, what is let's say what is I'm gonna put that as a separate question. What's so special about shocher tov?
And the reason why I'm not asking that with diligently also is because like diligently sounds, it's more qualitative.
Okay,
yeah.
If we have to ask this anyway, so let me put it this way. We have to ask it anyway, because I think you could still say, like, apparently only if you do it diligently, then can we say that it's Yivakesh ratzon. But what is so special with shocher tov, especially if it means early? Yeah, or preemptively, you would say also?
Yeah, well, what's the difference between preemptively and early?
Yeah, so the question, so just to clarify the difference there, the first translation, shocher tov, is that you like get up early to look for good, okay? And the second, preemptively does good, is like you make it a point to do the good earlier than it's supposed to be, or earlier than normal.
Well, practically, what's the difference? Meaning, you're just one is what you're waking up early. I mean, I'm still not seeing the difference between the two.
All right, like just as an example, like one let's say so the first meaning would be like, you arrive early at a let's say your friend's throwing a party and you arrive super early in order to help them, right? Like, say, is there anything I could do to help you, right? Okay. Preemptively doing good is you shovel their driveway before they wake up, right? So in the first case, it's you're looking to do good and you're doing it like, before anyone is even there. The second way, you're not even looking for anything. You're just doing good early. That's in and out, bam,
So
isn't it like before the meter rises?
I get it. I'm understanding. It's in one area you actually, you physically go there early to do it, but in the second way you're doing it even before it even is even in existence.
And again, the just to emphasize here, this meaning in the parentheses doesn't have anything to do with searching, but here the first meaning is searching for good or searching diligently. So that's the question here. Is like, and truthfully, now that I'm thinking about it, the advantage of this parenthetical reading is it doesn't treat shocher as a synonym, right? Because that was like one of the problems we had. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, Isaiah.
I guess you could argue this is in other questions that we already asked, but whose ratzon is he seeking?
Yeah.
Is it someone else's, his own, Hashem's?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess I did not write that. So whose ratzon? Yeah. Whose ratzon? Yeah. Yosef, you're muted.
What's the contrast between the first half of the pasuk and the second? Because shocher tov yivakesh ratzon is a specific type of seeking for good, and it's not like it's a normal type. So you're comparing like the extremity of seeking good to like the base case of seeking bad versus just the style of seeking good to the extreme case of seeking good. Like it's just a bad comparisons.
Yeah. Okay, that is a good question. The Malbim loves your question. The Malbim's whole idea is based on that, on noticing that. Okay, so furthermore, I'm going to add this to the first question. Furthermore, if shocher is a special quality, and doresh is just routine seeking of bad, why make this comparison? In other words, compare either the regular doing good to the regular doing bad, or the extreme doing good to the extreme doing bad. Don't compare the extreme doing good to this like normal run-of-the-mill case of doing bad.
Can I ask on that question?
Say again?
Can I ask a question on that question?
Yeah.
Is Doresh Ra really like the stam way you get Ra? It could have just said like Ose Ra. But
well, Doresh, I mean, Ose Ra would imply that he's actually doing bad, right? But this is trying to say that he's looking to do bad or looking for bad, something like that. So this is prior to the act, it seems. Yeah. Zach?
Two questions that are more meta level questions. One of them, I feel like would affect our reading potentially. Mm-hmm. So is it possible to ask what kind of good and bad, because he hasn't used, let's say, terminology of figures that would normally apply like a moral good and bad.
Yeah.
So do we have room to ask if he's talking about maybe a non-moral good and bad, or other types of good and bad that we might not immediately associate this with?
Okay, so let me think how I want to ask this. I guess I'll ask it as a separate question, and I'll tag it as a meta question. Meta level in sweater weather. Meta level question. Whatever that means exactly. I think I know what you mean, but
That it can
why does
apply to more than pesukim than just this one.
okay, yeah. So why does he use the generic terms good and bad? Are you saying like instead of like Mishlei jargon?
Yeah, and instead of like he says, the ones who pursue rather than the characters for instead of a tzaddik and a rasha.
Okay, right. So generic terms good and bad, and without using Mishleic jargon for like their decisions or for their personalities. Yeah. Okay, that is a meta question. Okay.
Yeah, and then I kind of split it into two parts in my head. Is one is like, does that loosen the definitions of good and bad because of this? And even if it doesn't, even if it's the same good and bad that we would associate good and bad with, is there something that we can like learn from the fact that he's not using personality types or regular Mishlei jargon?
Okay. This framing of the idea. Yeah, I'm gonna lump them into that one category there. But I agree with both ways that you broke it down. I just want to keep it general. Okay, Ariel.
Yeah, it's fun. I think I might have a similar question to Zach's second part of the question. Like what's the scenario?
Yeah. Okay, that's gonna be a big question here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna actually list that at the top.
Okay.
What is the decision making scenario here? If there is one, right? Because it sounds like it's talking in extremely general terms, right?
Yeah.
So it might be all cases,
Yeah, and I also had what's the Havamina for each.
Okay, that's also good. All right, so now I'm going to list your question about this is obvious. Okay, this seems obvious. Okay, what is the Hava Amina, which I will define in i.e., what would I have assumed without this pasuk? Yeah. Okay, that is a good question.
So I thought it was related to Zach's question because at least the first question, because like the scenario was going off of what he was saying about like not tzaddik or Rasha, who is it talking about?
Yeah, the only reason that I maybe this is just me, I'm perceiving your question, Ariel, as a more like a question you have to ask on the pasuk, just to understand what it's about. Whereas I do think, even though I can't exactly articulate why, I do think Zach's question is more of a meta question that you could ignore, like if you wanted to. You could just say like it's like there are pesukim that don't use Mishlei jargon and that don't describe a person. Like a person could just like hand wave away this idea, but I don't think you can hand wave away like what is this talking about. So that's why I also put it on top.
So just so we're all on the same page here, can you define what a meta question is?
I don't want to get into that discussion because I feel like first of all, that's a meta discussion about a meta question, which makes it meta, which then really puts us back at the base level. But I also don't want to get too much into that question. I think that's a little too self-referential.
Okay, so I'm just going to treat it as a regular question then.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not really sure what that means.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, Tamar?
In terms of like opposites, I guess I'm interested in what, if any, is the comparison between seeking ratzon and having something having bad come to you, whatever that means. Sort of sounds like one is active and one is passive. Like they seem different.
Okay, that's a good question. Is there a place that I could put this that would be good? No, I'll just put it over here. How are the two halves opposites? Oh, you know what? Here's what I'll do. I think what I want to do is go like this. There. How are the two halves opposites? Okay, and then say specifically, what's so special about shocher tov, especially if it means earlier preemptively, right? What is shocher? If shocher is a special, so okay, how are shocher tov and doresh ra'ah opposites? Opposites, and then how is he will seek ratzon, which is active, the opposite of Dorish Ra'a. Oh, sorry, no, not Dorish Ra'a. Ra'a Tevoenu. Ra'a Tevoenu. Okay, which is passive. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Next question. My dad.
Oh, okay. I don't have this in the form of a question. I have a statement. Maybe we can convert it to a question.
Okay.
There's more to doing good than just the act of doing good.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
they're just saying that there's something in addition to doing it preemptively, doing it early, that it's that distinguishes one act from another act.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to put that into the first question here, which is likewise, what is the decision, right? Like it seems to be, right? Seems to be like prior to the act of good or bad itself.
It made me think of the hurricane that hit Florida. And there were people who acted early and people who acted late.
Right.
And so there was some additional benefit from having
Right.
the foresight that you'll need to act.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to delete this because it's confusing. Okay, good question. Chaim?
Yeah, I mean it's a general sweeper question, but like who's the audience of this pasuk? Like I'm trying to like think about it in my head. It's
Yeah.
not really
Okay.
clicking so quickly.
So who is the audience of this pasuk? Who is the audience of this pasuk? Okay. I feel like we got all the questions. Okay.
Can I just
Ariel?
ask just one more question?
Yeah.
And I'm asking this because I'm not sure if we asked this already, but
Yeah, there's a lot there.
and also because I can't see all the questions right now. But in the second half of the pasuk, and one who seeks bad, it will come to him. Is that what is that an opposite of? Is that an opposite of like it seems like the first half of the pasuk there are like two parts. So I'm just trying to
Right, so I'm pretty sure. I mean, you don't have to read it this way. But the yellow corresponds to the yellow, and the blue corresponds to the blue. So looking diligently early for good is the opposite of seeking bad, and then he will seek favor is the opposite of the bad will come to him.
right, and in the second half of the pasuk, it just says it will come to him. It doesn't really say.
Yeah, well, it's the bad. The bad will come to him.
The bad will come to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. It's a toughie. Okay. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit all these on. Almost. Oh, you know what I could do? Why do I never use this trick? There we go. Okay. All right. There are the questions. There we go. Okay. So let's take our minute of thinking, and then we will, in accordance with our new policy this year, start with full ideas if we have any, or close to full ideas, not baby steps.
It's full ideas first or second?
Full ideas first, or near full ideas. I don't think it's gonna be possible to get a full idea for this one first. Okay, let's start getting ideas. I got very little. Okay, yeah, Zach.
Okay, so I think I have a close to full idea.
Okay, sure.
The I'm kind of using what little differences we had in the seeking to create an idea.
Okay.
So I mean, normally that might be going out on a limb, but here I feel like it's necessary.
Yeah.
So I think that in in the first part of the first half, it's, he's looking. I feel like looking early and doing preemptively have a similar feel of like someone who's constantly on the lookout for doing good. And what it does is the connotation of like seeking as a last resort, I sort of felt like is in a connotation of when they're like backs pressed up against the wall, like when
You're
they're
saying, sorry, the seeking as last resort, that's talking about for Dorish?
No, that's the
Yavakish?
Yeah, Yavakish, I believe. We can double check this.
I thought that let me just check that now just before we get too far.
Yeah.
Dorish, I think, is to resort to.
Yeah. Wait. Am I mixing?
Dorish.
Oh, that's the third one.
The one
Okay,
with
so
associated with the bad.
So then maybe let's get back to me. I'm gonna rethink.
Okay, sure. Okay, who is next? Is Yosef. Go ahead.
So I'm gonna make a move here.
Okay.
Shocher Tov Yavakish Ratzon. So I think what it's saying is that the parallel between Shocher Tov, is it Socher or Shocher?
Shocher, like Shachris.
Right. Okay. Fine. So the parallel between Shocher and Dorish is that it's not just talking about a regular guy who's looking to do good, but it's talking about a guy who like internally values it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, that's good. That's a good step.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, that's not like the biggest stretch yet, but like okay, Yavakesh Ratzon. So I think what it's saying is that he will be able to ask for a favor, right? Or be able to do that. Right?
Okay, that's good.
That's like
okay. That's good. That's good.
I'm just trying to get like ape shot.
Yeah, right? That's good. So let me just repeat that first, and then we could build on it. So Shocher Tov, whether you say it means this, I think this works out for like all of the translations, right? Your idea? You weren't going on a specific idea of Shocher Tov, were you?
It's not. I wasn't focusing so much.
Yeah, right. So in other words, it shows that you actually value it, right? Because an ordinary person, if a good opportunity comes their way, then they might seize it. Okay, but this guy is either looking out for it, like first one out there, like it reminds me in the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi, how he would go to the fish market like before anyone else got there, because he knows that like that's the only way to get the best fish. So he shows up early, or diligently, that you're searching for it like in an extreme way that shows you value it, or you do it preemptively, which shows that you're not just waiting for like social cues or for other things like that. You're what do you call it? You're seizing it because like you really value it. So that person and only that person is that quality is what allows you to seek favor. Okay. And now the question will be, what does that mean? Okay. But I think that was two good first moves. I like that. Yeah.
And then the second thing is Vidorish Ra'a. So that's saying that he will he'll be able to ask for favor. So I think the idea there is that he will be able to ask for favor because naturally, like when people see that he is a contributor and someone who's trying to help, or someone who is or someone, I'm talking mainly in the social realm.
Yeah.
People when they see he's trying to help, or he sees he's trying to be productive, or whatever it is, right? Whatever Tov specifically is, people naturally admire and value this person.
Yeah.
Right? And so therefore he will be able to ask for goodwill, right?
Yeah.
And then Vidorish Ra Civil Eno, I think it's talking about in a case where like you have people whose strategies business-wise or whatever it is to gain power or money, right, are centered around messing other people over, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I think what it's saying is that those guys who really like their strategies based around really just like going against other people,
yeah,
right, those guys will build a trail of hate behind them, and that will like bring it down.
Right. They're really stocking up on ill will, right? Like they're going to be, yeah, right. Okay. That's a nice idea. let's just fully explore this idea really quick, and then we'll do another one. But if this is as far as we get tonight, I'm happy. Okay. So what would you say I'll state the parts, and then I want to ask, what would you say the subject of this pasuk is? Okay. like just to pull out Rabbi Moskowitz's question, what's the subject of the pasuk? So here's what Yosef is saying. He's saying someone who is shoker tov, which either means he looks diligently or early or preemptively for good, that people value that, and therefore they are willing to grant him goodwill, right? They're gonna like make exceptions for him. They're gonna do favors for him. They're gonna want to benefit him because they see, first of all, they see that he's a beneficial type of person to have around, and that he genuinely like cares for them, because we're talking about good in the social realm. And I think that there is just a certain like admiration, like there is when I was thinking about the party example, the reason why I was thinking about the party is I feel like that's the scenario where like someone goes and says, what can I do to help? You know, there's something that is just like admirable about that kind of like taking initiative to do good. Okay, so that person is going to build up a storehouse of goodwill, which will inevitably help them at some point. Okay, or at least protect them from bad. And then the guy who's Dorish Ra, the guy who is seeking out harm, the harm of another person, obviously for their own benefit, right? But like he is, like just wants to capitalize on, on the weaknesses of other people. I don't mean capitalize in the capitalism sense. I mean like example comes to my mind. What was that?
It's like he like finds value in doing evil.
Yeah, like the example that comes to my mind, and maybe just because I just rewatched season 4 of The Crown, I know this wasn't there yet, but like paparazzi, like the paparazzi are out there, like literally that's their job, is to look for like dirt on celebrities in order to like generate news, and to whatever, and to sell their photos or whatever they do, So that person thinks that he's like profiting because he's like taking advantage of everybody, but he's building up a huge amount of ill will. When that person, when Mr. Rogers falls on hard times and the paparazzi guy falls on hard times, then what do you think the reaction is going to be about the people around them? Like it's a very, very, very different thing, So that's the explanation. And the question is, what is the chiddush here? Okay, because I feel like there is a chiddush, there is a new insight here, but I feel like we just need to like articulate it. But I really like this idea.
Because I think the chiddush is like this. I think it's that it's not just a regular guy who's like seeking out good.
Yeah.
Right. Like a guy who has like good values, but like it's not like internal to him. It won't be as noticeable to people, and it won't manifest itself.
Okay.
And it won't function for him. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And also a guy who just does bad, right?
Yeah.
Like on the opposite side of the pasuk, which is that like someone who just does bad occasionally or whatever, like they're just like a moralist, like whatever, just does whatever's productive for them kind of person.
Yeah.
He will build ill will, but it's not like it will really be his downfall.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you were not here last week. Okay. But I'm going to bring a proof to your idea here, because I think this perfectly ties in what we did with the puzzle we did last week. Let's see if I wrote it up. Let's hope I did. I'm supposed to. I'm not supposed to say. I chose to say. Rivki intuited this because I sent her the puzzle ahead of time because she couldn't be here, and she wanted to connect it to last week's puzzle also. So last week's puzzle was, one who withholds grain will be cursed by people, and blessing will fall upon the head of the provider. Okay, so one of the major questions we had was like, it's a fine line. Like, take Yosef, not this Yosef, but Yosef in Mitzrayim. Like, it's a fine line between like he was withholding grain and getting cursed by people, I'm sure, for those first years, and then like he ended up saving everybody. So we said, what did we say here? We said, all right, this was not a polished summary. This pasuk, here we go. Yeah. This pasuk is addressed to a leader or powerful person who seeks to maintain and increase their power. Okay. For good or for bad, right? This is like Mishlei, Mishlei doesn't question your motives. You want to increase power as your leader. Here's how you do it. The foolish move is to withhold the good from those who are dependent on you, thinking that by increasing their dependency, you'll increase your power, right? You're controlling the food supply. You control them. Okay, in reality, you'll just end up antagonizing them, making them curse you, i.e., having extreme ill will, which will not only threaten your position, but will also puncture your fantasy of being an all-powerful ruler. Because you're not going to be able to sit there when you see that all the people who you're ruling over are just can't wait to kill you, or just can't wait to to see your harm, you know. So you won't be able to like bask in that fantasy of, oh, everyone, I am this great ruler with a stable legacy. Okay, the intelligent move we wrote is to distribute the good in a manner which will provide the experience of shever. We said that's why I use the word mashbir, is to break people's hunger. So you have to create the experience of breaking their hunger, which will not only provide people with what they need to thrive, but will make them feel that you are a benefit to them, which will make them bless you and want you to stay in power. So we emphasized here that what matters most is not even really objectively what you're doing, but how it is perceived by people, you know? And what Yosef is adding here is saying, what type of person will be perceived this way? Someone who truly values the good to the point where it is just like, the good is just like, can't wait to get out of them. Like they're there early, et cetera, you know? And what type of person will really like generate this real ill will? You know, there's a pasuk in Mishlei that says like, it's talking about, hold on, a thief who steals to sate his hunger. It says, hold on. Yeah, it says in 6, 6:30. A thief, let me just read it in the Hebrew. Lo yavuzu laganav ki yignov lamale nafsho ki yirav. No one scorns a thief if he steals to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. Okay, but he says, but someone who commits adultery with a woman is lacking an understanding heart. A destroyer of his soul will do this. So the point is that this guy who steals stuff, if he's doing it like just because he needs it, so people will get upset and like people won't like him, but it's not that they will actively like want curse him or anything like that, you know. But a guy who's like predatory, like you know, like looking for weaklings to people to take advantage of, that's the person who's going to like build up this ill will and who's going to get cursed by people. So it really does dovetail really well with the last pasuk. Okay.
Yeah, you see that even in the prison system, like you know, like they what's it called, like they kill or beat people who are like, you know, who are pedophiles.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I mean, we haven't have a prison system. My dad worked in the prison system, so if you have any good examples, then go ahead and share them of this dynamic in action. Yeah.
They're called them rapos and chimos. People who rape, and chimos are child molesters.
Oh, okay. Did not know that. All right. Okay, good. Excellent idea, Yosef. I'm glad we got that. Okay. Tamar, you have something to add? You have a new idea?
It's related to this idea.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Just to flesh something out, I think is interesting is that I think that in the examples we gave, it's not just someone who's like, this definitely includes someone who's looking to cause others harm for personal benefit. But it seems like, let's say, someone like a paparazzi could be like, well, this is just like business. I'm just like kind of doing my job, but it's like the career itself, even though they're sort of just doing their daily life, is enough to bring this ill will, I think.
Right. Yeah. You know, in fact, I think a better translation here, I don't know if I have the right to do this. I would modify this, not one who seeks evil, but just to make it language stronger, a seeker of bad or evil, meaning like that there has to be like some permanence of their character, you know, like or of their lifestyle, you know.
It's not opportunistic.
Yeah, it's not opportunistic. That's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
I was thinking of like an example is like George Soros, right? Like
I don't know much about him. Yeah, go ahead.
He went against a lot of people and like messed a lot of people over, and then now a lot of people like really dislike him. He did, like,
right. Yeah, that's the only thing I know about him. I don't know what he did. Okay. Anything else on this idea? And if not, then we'll take another one. Isaiah saying no. Okay, and Zach. Okay. So Isaiah, you're up now, and then we'll go to Zach.
Okay, so you can hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm learning. So shoker tov, I'm gonna learn as someone who like plans out the good that they're going to do.
Yeah.
Like they preemptively design it.
Okay.
which I think is, you could translate it like that.
Okay, I'm
So
cool with that.
yeah. So someone who plans out the good that they're going to do, not only will they be able to know what good they want to do, but they'll realize there are opportunities for them to get the favor of others through their good, because they'll have thought about the good that they're doing before they actually do it.
Okay, that's good.
So they'll have a time where they can like design, oh, I can do this good thing, or I can also like do it in a way that like will be more helpful to people or something like that.
Okay, can
But
you give an example just so we can work with an example? I think I understand what you're saying. I just want to make sure. Or anyone else give an example if they have an example.
Can you explain more about what you're saying? I'm still.
All right, so I'll say it, and Isaiah, you tell me if this is what you're saying. That so there are people who will do good, but they don't plan it out ahead of time, right? Like if they're use the same word, an opportunistic do-gooder, right? It comes its way, like they'll do good, and then they'll get a benefit from it. Okay, but a person who plans out the good is really relating to the future good as a reality, like they're relating to it like as an abstract entity that like I envision this good is going to be the thing that comes about, and like I am going to I'm going to like make plans around it. And the fact that they're thinking about the good that way as like a thing that exists in the future, instead of just like, oh, I did this action and there's good. The fact that they're thinking about it as like an actual commodity allows them to like maximize the good that they get from it. And that is going to allow them to, this is the part I'm not exactly clear about. How are you saying it's going to Yivakesh Ratzon?
So I thought of an example, so maybe that will help.
Yeah, that'll help.
So let's say someone has like a community that they're a part of, and they plan an event where they, it's like a get together for their friends.
Yeah.
So they can decide to like, they can not only do that event, like they can decide, oh, I want to invite this friend, or like have this food because this like friend really likes this food.
Yeah.
Like there will be like, it won't just be the good that they had set out the plan, it will end up being like a greater good that like can bring in them more favor from others.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, so that's good for the first half.
Right. So for the second half, I was thinking that Doresh Ra is it's not Shocher, it's Doresh, because they seek it but they don't plan it. So they are just like, they're looking to do bad, or they have an evil design. So when they do bad, like they just get bad back. They don't have this added benefit of being able to seek out also the good from other people. Like they just get back what they were looking to do, basically. Like they don't have the extra benefit of Yivakesh Ratzon.
Okay, so now the question on this approach would then be, why are these two things being compared? Why is it comparing the extreme of the like the best version of the person who does good with like the hasty person who does bad?
I mean, you could say that he kind of, the Doresh Ra, he's kind of like blindly going forward. So like he could stumble into something which does gives him the opposite of Yivakesh Ratzon. Like he could offend someone because he didn't realize like, oh, this is like a selfish thing to do, and then like someone's offended. So it could be something like that.
Yeah, I see the way you're reading the pasuk. I feel like
try to answer maybe with what Yosef was saying.
Yeah,
like maybe we could apply the same.
That's what I was thinking
like,
also for the Yivakesh Ratzon.
Yeah. No. Oh, I was going to say the Doresh Ra.
Oh, okay, that's even better. Go ahead. Yeah.
Like that, if someone's like plotting all the ways they're going to do bad, like the same way that someone would be looking shochar tov. I guess it's not exactly the same language, but it's the same like seeking instead of just like doing bad.
Right.
Then like people eventually are going to notice that, and that's going to be more destructive to him than like someone who just like happens to do some bad stuff randomly. Like if he's like specifically going out of his way to like plot the most bad he could do, like that's gonna end up being bad for him.
Yeah, I hear that. I can't say what's bothering me. I think
Can you just review the idea again that's on the table?
Okay, I can try. Okay, and then people could fill in if I'm missing anything. So shocher tov, Isaiah is saying, is someone who doesn't just do the good like a spur of the moment, but he plans out the way the good. And the fact that they're planning it out means that they're going to be able to get more good out of it, which is going to earn, be able to like be a source of goodwill for other people or favor. But Doresh Ra, so now we have two competing interpretations here. Isaiah was saying Doresh Ra means that he just he does it without thinking. And then
wait, hold on. Sorry. Did we say something for seeking good,
yeah.
What?
Yeah,
So
is that he's going to be able to get more goodwill or favor out of it because he's planning it.
Goodwill or favor from who? From the situation?
From
Or
the people
from
who he's doing it for.
Okay.
Or the situation. I mean, ultimately, it is emphasizing the fact that it seems like people will favor him,
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but then one who seeks evil. So Isaiah was saying that means that he just does it without thinking, and he's not going to have like this expanded ability to like maximize his decision, the effects of his decision. But he's just going to get bad, and that probably still don't quite understand. And then Ayala was saying that Doresh Ra is like what we were saying earlier, that he is like trying to plan this evil, and that's really going to lead to a bad thing. Yeah, I feel like both.
I mean, can you just say it's like a cover homer? Like if it's like even without planning bad, it'll still come to him, like without the foresight. So therefore, if he was planning it, even more so.
That would be a reason why it would go less for the second half. I hear that. Yeah, Chaim.
Yeah, I was just writing down so I don't forget. But it seems to me like going in line with Isaiah's approach, that if you're constantly planning something, then it kind of makes it like part of like your routine almost. Like I was kind of thinking of it like a habits kind of way. Like if he's habitually like working on doing tov, like he'll eventually change his like himself, or like change his outlook to like the tov, so that can kind of like, that's like another maybe added benefit. Maybe that's just Yavakish Ratzon is that he maybe I'm not gonna explain that, but I mean I think that might help. But then also Doresh Ra, I think someone mentioned it kind of seems like it's like he's being led by it. And I'm kind of seeing Doresh Ra in like the way we kind of talk about, is it the Kasil who's like easily led, like
Pesi.
The Pesi, okay, yeah. That like it's almost like a Pesi in the sense where like he's kind of like trying to like, oh, maybe I'll like look over there. Or maybe it was that other pasuk we did at the beginning of the year also. Like the guy who's just kind of like looking from afar, and he's just kind of he's like at the crossroads. It seems like the guy was just kind of like entertaining it, but at the same time it's like much more external to him, and like it seems like something that he's trying to like, I don't know. I think the main point that I'm trying to make though is like it's external, and like it's more of like it's kind of pulling him in versus like he's in control of the tov, and like it also like ends up like becoming closer to him.
I see what you're saying, but I don't see where you're getting it from in the pasuk.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Let me know. Yeah. All right. Zach, you want to take your own approach?
I just have a question on.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. All right.
I'm still trying to figure out exactly like in the first half of the pasuk, what Isaiah was saying. I'm still trying to understand like what the fetish is.
Okay, so the first half is the only half. The only part I do feel like I understand.
Yeah,
okay,
I understand it, but I don't really see what the chiddush is.
Yeah, so that's a fair question. What's the chiddush, Isaiah?
I mean, the chiddush is you might think that shofar tov is an effective way to plan out the tov, but you wouldn't necessarily know that. The way I was learning is like he'll once he's planning it out, he'll realize there's even more to plan than he originally decided to plan. So I don't think that's.
I see. Right.
Sorry, there was a lot of planning in that sentence. I'm trying to.
It's like he comes to plan a good thing, and you would have thought that he's able, like planning is good. He's able to plan the good thing.
Right.
But it's not just that. He'll realize there are other benefits that he could, bring into his plans once he starts making still a lot of plans in this.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Zach's idea now.
Okay, so the way I'm gonna look at this pasuk, or like the core idea, is that he's offering a method and a motivation for avoiding a pitfall that even a decent person or that a regular decent person can fall into. And that's also why like I think he's not giving the labels of like Russia and Tzaddik.
Okay.
And so essentially starting with the second half, again leaning on the subtlety of the seeking resort element of it, is that in this case you have a person who feels like they have to resort to evil.
Okay.
And I feel like when this comes up, you bring up a famous show that I haven't watched, but just because you brought it up before, I know the basic context of Breaking Bad, where like, you know, you just have a guy who feels backed up into a corner and then he turns down a certain path. And so this is a scenario that I think any decent person can feel backed into. And he's basically addressing this scenario, and he's basically saying two things. First, his motivation, well, it's not really first in the pasuk, but first what I'm addressing is, you know, that bad that you think you're like, that you're turning to help you out of your tough situation, that's only going to mess you up further. Like that's just going to come right back at you.
Yeah.
And then he gives a method for like avoiding this. And that method is to basically preemptively get involved in doing good.
Okay. That's good.
And I think there's two levels to this preemptiveness.
Yeah.
You could read it as preemptively, like before your back is against the wall, start involving yourself in good.
Yeah.
And you can also look at it the way, like the way Yosef was looking at it, where he's like, by doing it even more preemptively than a regular person,
yeah,
you know, you're going to acquire even more.
Right.
But ultimately, before your back is against the wall, involving yourself in doing good will allow you to not reach that point.
Okay.
It'll give you more options.
Okay. So let me just I don't want to write down both ideas yet. We'll save that for the very end. But I just want to make a note that in Zach's idea, it's Dorish equals like resorts to evil. Okay. Yeah. So just let me repeat it, and then you tell me if this is good. That I do think it would be good if we could explain it in a way that like it's written in order. But maybe we could do this. Okay. The decision-making scenario here is when a person is being threatened by the temptation to engage in something evil, right? And what it's saying is that the remedy for that is to and the pasuk is pointing out that if he allows himself, I'm still doing it in your order, is that if he allows himself to make recourse to evil, saying like, what, I have no choice. The thing is like this, is he thinks that that's going to be the better of the better option, but no, it's going to be the worse option. Like he's going to get consequences from doing that, you know? So like, it's almost, he excuses himself by saying, I had no choice. Yeah, but having no choice doesn't change the results of what happens. Like the results of what happens, like if you say like, I had no choice but to use my chemistry knowledge to become a meth dealer, you know, like that doesn't stop the consequences of you getting involved in the drug trade. Like, you know, so now the question is, well, what do you do then? So ideally you have to stop yourself from even getting backed against the wall like that, which is to preemptively engage in doing good. I don't know if you did you explain Yivakesh Ratzon?
So I kind of just I didn't go too into it because I feel like we already covered it with previous explanations, but I feel like it's basically alternative recourse for being in a tough situation, which is like the goodwill of the people.
Oh, other people. Okay, good. Yeah, that's good. Right.
Of good. I think there's also another way of reading it actually, which is that like if you develop a habit of doing good, like then also when your back is up against the wall, your reflex will still be to do good. Like if you see good people in tough situations, they're still looking around to help people. They're not like, those habits don't like flee them in the moment.
Right.
And so like that could also be very helpful for them and like open doors that otherwise might have been closed.
Okay, that's a good interpretation also.
Yeah, and just one other thought for like the order, because I was thinking about it as we're talking, is it could be that like he's ordering it like this almost in a way, it's almost like a good like email marketing tactic where it's like you like create a hook. It's like, did you want to avoid this bankruptcy you're going towards? And you're like, wait, I'm going towards bankruptcy. You know, like hold on a minute. So it's like he's saying like, not that that's a good email marketing, but but he's saying here, he's saying like, if you are preemptive in your good, then you'll have what to fall back on. So that way when you're stuck, you won't have to resort to evil.
Yeah. Okay.
Because then if you do, it'll come to you.
Okay, that's okay. These are all good ideas. I'm gonna let's hold off now and then see. I want to see how they come together when we attempt to summarize it at the end. But I like the approach. Tamar, were you going to add on to Zach's thing before we go to Ariel?
Yeah, I wanted to specifically say something about the order.
Yeah.
Related to what Zach was just saying, which is, I think that you could argue for this order being like that the moment that this is speaking to is not the moment where you're making the decision where your back is already against the wall, but it's instead warning you to set things up so you don't find yourself in the situation. Like you might be thinking about the practical consequences, but you might not be thinking about consequences that will lead you to make a bad decision in the future.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and so this could be like looking out for that.
Yeah, and I think if we're taking it that way, then we should say, I mean, we could say this anyway, but I think the and is better as a but, meaning like it's almost like unless you are shocher tov to get yourself out of the situation, then you'll end up like being Dorish Ra, and then it'll come back to you or something like that. I know the two sentences I said didn't jive, but yeah.
To build on what Tamar was just pointing out is, I was just at a Shabbat meal this last Shabbos, and someone said something, I think they were quoting someone, but I'm not sure, that like you can open one door and it'll change like 1,000 new ones, or like open 1,000 new ones. So it's like your decisions now can dramatically change the course of options available to you later. And so he could be highlighting that. It's like, choose the right door now and it'll change all the options down the road.
Yeah. Okay, good. I like this approach. Okay, Ariel, and then I want to go to at least one of the Mefarshim.
Yeah, I don't think this isn't a new idea. I think this is what Zach's saying, but I kind of want to frame it a little differently, or this could be, what he's saying, but maybe you could say that, in terms of like, protecting yourself when you are, backed into a corner, like when he said that, when Zach said that, I was kind of interpreting it to mean that, if you are someone who feels like you are, going to fall down the wrong path, you can go to the completely opposite extreme, like what the Rambam's saying.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Rambam about Zach's idea also. Yeah.
And and what that does is, it's like mitzvah gereris mitzvah. Yeah. Like, when you put yourself in that situation, not only are you protecting yourself for this specific instance, but you're also protecting yourself in the future. Well, now you're already in the framework, or you're already in the habit of doing other mitzvahs, and so this way you won't even.
It's funny. I want to make a move here before I forget this. I'll call you after Ayala. Is one possibility we haven't entertained is that the Ratzon is from Hashem, and a lot of the Mefarshim say that, and I think that is a way. When you say mitzvah gereris mitzvah, it made me think about one of the Mefarshim here says, Habala Tayr Messiah, so that one who comes to purify himself will be helped. And we know from the way that the Rambam takes that in the 6th parak of Hilchos Tshuva, that it means that it is talking about like habits, and that the more you feed that part of yourself, the part of yourself that wants to do good, then like the more it'll lead to other good stuff and like generate positive momentum.
Right. My only question is, and I feel like it's been my question on all the other approaches that we took, is like, what's the chiddush really? Like, at least for the second, well, in this specific case, like the first half of the pasuk, like the chiddush is you're protecting yourself, but like in the second half of the pasuk it's like, it's obvious that, if you're seeking bad things, like bad will come. Like,
no, so the chiddush in Zach's approach is leaning on the nuance of Doresh Ra, and highlighting that, like, see, the problem when people feel that they have to make recourse to evil, then it's almost like they turn off the part of their mind that looks at this decision as having consequences, and this is saying like it's a move people make to rationalize like, well, I had no choice, and a chacham, even if a chacham had no choice, would go into it eyes wide open and say, I have no choice. I'm going to be in a situation where I'm going to face extreme temptation and I'm going to get myself into all this stuff. But the way people do is like, I have no choice. And then just like, don't look back, So the chiddush in the second half of the pasuk is the danger of that situation, that if you, just because you are making, like resorting to evil doesn't protect you from the evil coming right back at you. And then the function of the second half of the pasuk sets up the decision-making scenario, which then allows you to say, to see why the advice in the first half is relevant. The only way to get out of that situation is to never get into that situation in the first place,
Yeah, I mean, I think also there's like another possible nuance here, which is that like the fact that you're willing to look at a situation and say, I have to resort to evil, means that you're framing reality in certain parameters. And by looking at reality in those parameters, it's going to burn you. It's kind of like if you look at the world as everyone's out to get me, by choosing to look at the world that way, like you're going to end up in situations where you're like burned by that viewpoint.
Right.
And so just the thought of I have no choice but to resort to evil is setting up a reality that will burn.
That's a good point. That's a sharp point. Right. Yeah. And so many people who do evil say that, right? I mean, like that is what the Nazis said, like, that like, they were following orders, but that's the positive way of saying. The negative way is, well, I had no choice. I had to follow order. We had to do it, and then that's it's gonna further blind you. Yeah. That's a tough situation. That gets me right in the soul. Yeah, Ayala.
Okay, so I think this is similar to what Zach and Ariel is getting at, but maybe more in terms of like seeking goodwill of others.
Yeah.
So like someone who looks, I mean, the same situation where that's like, I guess there's gonna be like a bad thing maybe, and like you're gonna be either like faced with a bad decision, or like it's a decision where you could choose bad or something like that. Or a hard decision, and then one who already sets himself up as someone who's looking early, or not really preemptively, and doing good. Like they're kind of setting themselves as a person who does good and like setting that reputation.
That's good. Yeah.
Of others, and then when they get into a situation where like maybe they would decide the wrong thing or whatever, like it's hard, like they don't really know, but like this wanting to keep up their reputation and get the goodwill of others is gonna keep them doing the right thing or whatever that thing would be.
Yeah.
And then someone who's seeking bad, like I feel like you see this where like there's people who care about other people things, and like there's people who are just like, I already have a bad reputation, like what's this gonna do?
Right.
And like it will come to him easily, kind of like he won't have this added, maybe it's like a super ego thing of like whatever, but like it does keep him in check.
Okay, those are two good ideas. I actually thought you were saying a different idea originally. I thought you were saying that in the same way that the Doresh Ra'ah, who resorts to evil, has convinced himself that there's only one way to look at the situation, which is bad. You almost need a opposite thing to be a shocher tov, which is to say like no matter what situation I'm in, I'm going to seek out this value in that situation, So it is a little bit of an opposite mentality, and the person who does that will be able to find favor because they'll be able to make the good decision in that scenario. But that's almost like a different idea, but it's a good one. Like
that's interesting too.
Maybe in the after party, I'll say a comment on that one.
Maybe what?
Like in the after party, I'll add a comment on that.
Okay, sure.
Idea.
Okay. Okay. So let's just really quickly look at the Malbim because he just intrigued me. And then I want to summarize, and then we'll call it a night. Okay, it's long because it's the Malbim. I didn't even finish reading it. I was like, okay, this looks like it starts off good. I'm going to type it as I go. Okay, so Shocher Tov, Malami Lanu. This teaches us Ki Teva Ha'adam, that the nature of man, Nota Yoser El Haram El Tov, inclines more towards evil than towards the good. Okay, and it's funny because this really goes with the those who were in or heard my Pirkei Avos here on Thursday. I mentioned that was the a person should always pray for the welfare of the government, the peace of the government, because if not for the fact that people feared it, then each man will swallow his fellow alive. And so I quoted Rabbi Chait's interpretation of that you see from here that man is intrinsically evil, right? That without fear of the government, then each person will swallow his fellow alive. And then I also quoted in the Shiur my reaction to hearing Rabbi Chait say that, which is, that's not true. Man's not intrinsically evil. And then I remembered that in last week's parsha, it says literally the yetzer of man's heart is evil from youth, So he's going to quote that also. He says, Ki hatziurim haraim netuim belev ha'adam. Because, so tziur literally means like depictions. I think the best English word we have for this is fantasies. Okay. Because evil fantasies are implanted in the soul of man, mimei hayaladus, from the days of youth. V'kochos hachomer nishmaus yoser al chushin velatayvos, and his physical faculties, like his body, that's what he means. Like his body, nishmaos, are more obedient el hachushim velatayvos, to the senses and to the desires or lusts. Okay. Lachain, therefore, Amar, he said, Shocher Tov v'Doresh Ra. Okay, so he'll define what that means in a second. Shocher Tov and Doresh Ra. Ra'a. Okay, Ki Hatov Tzarich Lishchor. Because for the good, you need to be Shocher. Okay, what does that mean? Shepal Shachar hu habakasha hayesera, because the verb shachar, the activity of shachar, the verb of shachar, or shachar, is excessive or extreme seeking. That you seek it out every morning at the crack of dawn. Okay, meaning like you need to like really like make it a priority. Masha ainkein hara, okay, which is not true of evil. Die bedrisha, for which it is enough merely to seek. So he's saying shachar means you have to like get up early and make it a priority and like really seek it with all your might. Doresh just means like you just like look for it, because it comes easy to you. Okay, so then he says, behold, hashocher hatov, one who is shocher tov, sarich levakish tchila raton, first needs to seek favor. So he's reading this in a completely different way. Okay, he's saying, so we said, one who looks, let me actually just type this here. Malvim is shocher tov yivakish ratzon. In order to diligently seek good, one must seek favor. Okay, that's how he's translating the first half, I think. Let's see. Hine hashocher tov tzarich levakish tchila ratzon. Was first needs to favor shekochosav yurtu latov, that his faculties will favor the good. Ki ein haratzon betov netua b'kochos hanefesh, because a desire for good is not implanted in the faculties of the soul me'atzmo by themselves. Rak sarich levaksham, but rather one must seek them. Okay, and dig into the depths of the soul ad yotzi haratzon mital musa, until it draws forth the will, or I think actually this is will. Yeah, I think it's will. Maybe willpower. Let's see if this works better. Again, I didn't read this second half ahead of time. I just saw the first half. It might be willpower, until he draws out the will. Okay. Masha inkain dorish ra'a tavonu la'atmo. but one who seeks evil, it will come to him automatically. So he's learning it. Evil will come to him automatically. In order to seek to diligently seek good, one must seek willpower. But a seeker of bad, it will come to him automatically. And that's how the Malbim is translating it. Okay, I'll move this down here.
Could we read it like seek favoring good, meaning like seek like an appreciation and like a inner yearning for good that has to be like looked for, rather than, because I feel like willpower is more about like strength of, it's like it's less related. Like you could use.
So, let me. I'm gonna put everyone on hold for 1 second. I just want to finish translating it so that I make sure I get see where he's going, and then we'll go back and see. And before we start playing with the translations, and he doesn't need to seek. I'm gonna go with willpower for now. Willpower. Because physicality and his desires are primed for evil. V'gam amar yivakesh. It also says yivakesh, he will seek mi'inyan bakasha hanirdaf imat tefilah. Oh, that's a separate idea. Okay, there's saying there's going to be an idea of tefilah there. He was the one who says about the time Messiah. Okay, so let's just I just want to look at this, and then we'll see if we need to modify these translations. Okay. This teaches us that the nature of man inclines more towards evil than towards the good, because evil fantasies are implanted in the soul of man from the days of youth, and his physical faculties are more obedient to the senses and to the desires and lusts. Therefore, he said, shocher tov and dorish ra, because for the good, you need to be shocher, because you need to be shocher for the good, because the verb of shachar is extreme seeking, that you seek it out every morning at the crack of dawn. Okay, that was like an aside, which is not true of evil, for which it is enough merely to seek. Behold, one who is shocher tov first needs to seek willpower, that his faculties will favor the good, because a desire for good is not implanted in the faculties of the soul by themselves, but rather one must seek them and dig into the depths of the soul until it draws forth the will. But one who seeks evil, it will come to him automatically, and he doesn't need to seek willpower, because physicality and his desires are primed for evil. Yeah. Okay. So Zach, what did you want to say first, and then we'll go to tomorrow.
Well, to be honest, I'm a little less sure now, because it seems like he used that same word when he was talking about desires for evil. Like you don't need that.
You don't need the raton. Right.
Right. So
yeah. Right now, willpower is the best candidate for me, because he's saying like, you don't need, like, you know, it reminds me of also with the Rambam's extremes. He says in any of the two extremes of the emotions, both extremes are bad, but there's going to be an extreme that's easier to do, you know? So it's easier to give into the desires to eat than to give into and then to go to the extreme of not eating, you know?
But like the process he's talking about, he says, is that like, but rather one must seek them and dig into the depths of the soul until it draws forth the will. Like, to me, that doesn't really give a connotation of willpower. So I'm like, to me, it seems like he's talking about a deeper way of connecting to good rather than just leaving it at a superficial level. So
yeah, hold on just a second. Okay, let me. Sorry, it's not. I know you're waiting. I just want to respond to that really quickly. I think there's a mistake. Maybe this is addressing a mistake. Okay, there are people who say that I will seek the good when I have the willpower, like when I have the desire to do it. Maybe desire is better than willpower, but I don't want to use the word desire because it's different than taiva. But in other words, like let's say that there are people who are like okay, I've seen this countless times when I taught high school. You know, like there are people who are not keeping halacha, you know, and they're interested in ideas or whatever, but then they'll be like I'm not going to daven until like I have the desire to daven, you know, and then once I have the desire, then I'll start doing it and I'll do it, you know. That is the wrong approach to seeking the good, because what he's saying is that approach like presupposes that the good and the evil are on equal playing fields. Okay, really though, you have a tremendous desire to not daven. Okay, and in order to get to cultivate the tov practice of davening, you need to actually muster up the willpower to do it, and then once you start doing it, then it'll actually affect you, but it's a categorical mistake people make, where they wait for the mood to strike them in order to do the good. And
but I feel like
just one second. And what he's saying is that the, like Chazal say, the Yetzer Hara has a 13-year head start on the Yetzer Tov, or like Shlomo Melech says in Koheles, the Yetzer Hara is like an evil king that has been reigning over this kingdom for a long time, an evil old king, and the intellect is like a young chacham who just like comes of age when the king is already controlling everything. So if you default, like you are already at a loss, and you have to fight and go to the opposite extreme to get the willpower to be able to be involved in the good. Yeah, Zach, what did you want to say?
So I feel like the dynamic you're describing is like one layer, and he's saying the solution is to utilize another layer within us. So he's saying, like, if you just follow your moods, then it's going to result how you like just described it. Like, you're never going to be in the mood to do good. You're always going to be in the mood to do bad.
Yeah.
But I feel like he part of what he's describing as a way to like fight against that is to dig deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like with the prayer example, I'm just using that because you brought it up, is if a person like digs deeper of like, what is it that they want on a deeper level? Like, do they want to, like commune with their creator? Do they want to like, be grateful to the things that they receive, then those deeper thoughts and feelings and ideas can override their moods.
Yeah, I see how you're getting that from his words. I'm not yet convinced that that's what he means. I got to think about it a little bit more. Yeah, I got to think about it a little bit more. I want to call him tomorrow because I made her wait for a long time. Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay, so I'm not sure if I still completely have this question, because I feel like we developed this a lot since I was thinking of it. But
sure.
Does the Malbim particularly read Mishlei as this like practical decision making type thing?
No, he extends it to serving God and to like connecting it to Torah and mitzvahs much more than we typically do.
Okay, yeah, because that was basically my question. Because I think you could learn decision making ideas from this, but it seems more like a true thing about human nature. Maybe that would be interesting and useful to learn, but not like practical. Yeah.
We can still extract the decision-making principle from it, but yeah, he is speaking on a larger level, which addresses Zach's meta question, which is this is about the struggle to choose good over evil, as a way of life. Yeah. Yeah, Ariel?
Yeah, I just want to say that I really like the Malbim's, approach and answer.
Yeah, I mean, again, classic Malbim, and this is what I said. I told Yosef, I guess Yosef's not here anymore, that the Malbim really liked that first. Yosef noticed the inequality between shocher, which seemed like an extra diligent blah blah blah, and like dorish, which is just like a ordinary thing. And I said the Malbim's really going to like that. And that is, again, we know the Malbim, he takes these nuances and he makes the whole idea out of the nuances.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Definitely can relate to that.
Yep. Okay, Ayala?
This reminds me of I forgot which year I heard by Rabbi Chait, where I think he specifically spoke about this in terms of like literal shachar, like wake up. I think there's a chazal, something of like wake up like a lion. And he was saying that like you have to do that like push against the bad because like and like for the good, because otherwise it's not going to happen. Like if you just wake up, roll out of bed, take your time, being lazy, like you're going to end up doing that. Like that's
that's a good application of this. Yeah. Okay, so let's do this now, and then we'll officially end, and then we'll talk if anyone wants to talk. Let's just quickly summarize the ideas. Okay, and again, the goal of this summary is not to produce a complete thing. It's just to have notes for the future. Okay, for me to remember what we did. So Yosef's idea, going all the way back to Yosef's idea. Gotta get back into the mentality was
like his was summarized by like storing goodwill.
Yeah, right. So a person who values the good so much that he is shocher. However you translate that, right? You translate that. Sorry, if a person values the good so much that he is shocher, okay, people will recognize it and value him, thereby putting him into a position to seek goodwill from them. In other words, he will accumulate a trove of goodwill. Okay. But if a person seeks evil, okay, harm to other people, harm to others, okay, not just in an opportunistic way, but in a, like, I'm going to just use the word, I think predatory is actually the best word, predatory way, okay, he will accumulate a storehouse of ill will, which will come back to bite him, okay? And then this connects to the previous pasuk, which emphasized that public perception of whether you are benefiting them or harming them will dictate their good or ill will towards you. Yeah. And our pasuk is defining exactly what quality they must see. Okay, that's good. One down. Okay. Now Zach's had an approach, but I feel like we splintered it into 5 ideas in the end. Okay, so I'm going to ask Zach, do you want to try to summarize your idea the way you currently see it, like in the roulette wheel of your mind, of like, we're not that it's a random roulette wheel, but like, you know, where's the ball going to land, you know?
So I think that like the basis of the idea is like avoiding having your back against the wall and having the mindset of, oh, I'm going to be forced to do bad. So like not seeing the world that way and not actually making decisions from that mindset.
Okay.
And the antidote for this kind of predicament is to preemptively do good. And then you won't reach that place to begin with.
Okay.
Because you'll have a storehouse of good, as we spoke about in the previous one. And there's another way we looked at that, another way of like what that goodwill means, but I'm blanking on it at the moment.
I also want to say my idea that I said like right at the end, piggybacking off of Ayala's idea, which is that just as the guy who says, I have no choice but to resort to evil, is really looking at the world in a distorted way, which will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So too, the person who is shocher tov, who is always looking for ways to do good, will also end up like this mentality will also be a self-fulfilling prophecy, which will enable him to obtain favor from people and from Hashem, because he's always doing good. He's always going to see ways to do good in everything. That's my shot. I mean, I've made episodes of the Stoic Jew podcast on this, but that's my shot of Gamzu Latova, of this too is for the good. I mean, people have this childish idea that everything that happens to them is for their good, which is wrong for many reasons and destructive for many reasons. But the real idea of Gamzu Latova is you are, first of all, not falling into the trap of defining things as evil or bad or harmful or like viewing yourself as a victim. So you're withholding from that. And you are looking for the opportunity to make this into good in every situation that you're in. And what's going to happen is the more you practice that, the more everything that happens to you will be good, you know? And so it ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. Oh, was there a hand that flashed up? I don't know if it was retracted.
Yeah, but I think you basically answered it. So
okay. Okay. So Ayala plus Rabbi Schneeweiss's half ideas on other Zach interpretations. Okay. Or I forgot who it was from. Okay. And then Isaiah, if you've worked out your idea, and Ayala, if you worked out the idea that you were going off of Isaiah's, feel free to say it. I don't have that clear enough to even try, Malbim was it is a mistake to think that you can wait for the willpower, the desire to do good before doing it. In truth, it's not an equal playing field. The Yetzer Hara has a 13-year head start, and your body is already has been obedient, is by default obedient to your senses and lusts. The will to do evil, therefore, comes automatically. But in order to do good, you have to actively dig up or cultivate the willpower, and you have to be shocher tov, which is to prioritize it in an extreme way. If you do that, then your desires will begin to change. Okay.
I love the word cultivate there. I feel like that's perfect for
I
that.
think that's a good word also. Yeah. Cultivate also, we can't forget, cultivate does mean to dig, right? It's an agricultural word, but we use it for other stuff. Yeah.
So the difference between like the Malbim's approach and Zach's approach is that, like I'm noticing one difference is that the Malbim is focusing on the willpower.
Yeah.
Versus, just doing the mitzvah.
Yeah. Right. It's funny because Zach's also has to do with the person who's, it's funny, it's really funny, sad / terrifying that when you're in the situation where you feel like you have to resort to evil, you have lost your willpower, but like you're relating to it as though it's your decision.
Although I wasn't looking at it as a willpower thing.
No, I know. Yeah. I was just commenting on what Ariel said. Yeah. Okay, I think let's call it a night in terms of ending the official shiur. If there's anything we can discuss, we could discuss it now, but not for very long. Yeah. Tamar?
Okay, sure. So just quickly, I feel like Zach's idea that we wrote as Zach's idea, I think it's like two ideas. I think that there's the idea of like preemptively avoiding finding yourself in the situation that would like force your hand.
Yeah.
But also I think there's a different thing, which is, and I think that this is kind of like the idea that you said next, but then there's like, right, so there's trying to avoid the situation where you have your back against the wall, and then there's like avoiding having the mindset of that you need to resort to evil.
Yeah,
right?
okay, let me say, yeah. Two ideas within Zach's idea. So one is avoiding avoiding getting into the situation where you have to resort to evil, okay, by preempting it. And then two is say it again.
Now I'm thinking about it. This might overlap with your next idea on the document, but avoiding thinking that you have to resort to evil when your back is against the wall.
Yeah. Evil when your back is against the wall. Yeah, let's go with it. Yeah. The wall.
It's kind of, I think, what you were saying also about the like remembering that those actions still have consequences and not deciding that.
Oh yeah. I want to add that. Yeah. Also. Yeah. That is, I'm just gonna add this here because I don't know where to put it. The person who is matir himself by saying, well, I have no choice but to resort to evil, is blocking out the reality of the consequences. Okay, a chacham would at least go into the situation with eyes wide open, fully aware of how he is going to corrupt himself and lose his critical faculties by engaging in evil. Yeah. Okay. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, just unrelated to the pasuk. When we're talking about like you said, two comments, and I feel like there's like one more piece I can plug in that would give like a fuller picture that I think you'll appreciate. Is you said at one point when we were talking about like not having any choice mentioned the Nazis and like
Yeah.
they're like, oh, we were just given orders.
Yeah.
We had no choice. And then he also pointed out at some point that there would, maybe it was a Yala, I'm not sure, that the opposite extreme should be true for people who are pursuing good.
Yeah.
And so I heard this through hearsay, so I haven't actually looked into it, but I heard that there were a bunch of journalists over the years since World War II who tracked down the righteous among the nations, the people who like saved Jews and Jewish lives and stuff. And they asked them.
I talked about this. Yeah. Go on though.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They asked him like, why did he do it? And like they all said, we had no choice. Like, what was our alternative option? So it's just fascinating how like that
right. That virtue on its highest levels will also present as having no choice. But what's interesting about it also is like, I feel like the person who says that is recognizing that the Nazi is making a choice. And I feel like the Nazi who's obeying orders is just like not even really thinking about it as a decision, you know?
But in a way that the decision is just happening earlier.
Yeah, right.
It's like it's deciding to look at the world in this way.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I just had a question on something you said about like if you are in that situation, you already lost your willpower.
Yeah.
You can't. What was it? If you can't control yourself, you lost your willpower or something. If you're in that situation, what was that?
Like I have no choice. I have to resort to evil. I mean, I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't.
Like if you already feel like you have no choice and you're gonna do evil, then you've already like given up on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So what do you do in that situation?
You follow Zach's advice. You don't get into that situation. Yeah. No, I think what you do is if you find yourself in that situation, then there's always decisions you can make, right? So the first step is to keep your Mishlei hat on, and like be aware of how exactly am I going to be like, corrupting myself and what are going to be the consequences of this? What can I do that's going to anchor my objectivity as much as possible? What can I do to prevent myself from getting carried away?
I have a thought.
Yeah, hold on. I just had one more thought also. And then doing damage control, because that's the other big mistake is that people, I was actually just going over this Gemara today, which I also wrote the article about on my blog, that, Chazal say that so first it says, if a person is going to do, what was that?
Is it the one about he can't control his Yetzer?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's in the Chagiga Tezayin Amud Aleph, and which is that it says if a person does an Avera in secret, it would be better if he were never born. And then the Gemara says, is that true? There's another Gemara that says that if a person sees his Yetzer overpowering him, he should dress in black and wear black and go to a place where no one knows him and do what his heart desires and not cause a chilul Hashem. So it seems like a contradiction because the guy is doing an Avera in secret. He's hiding, right, in the first case, and the Gemara is saying that that's a horrible thing, better if you were never born. And then the second thing, it's saying, well, if you hide, then it's endorsing it. So the Gemara answers and says, no, the first case is where you can control your Yetzer. The second case is where you can't control your Yetzer. So if you can control your Yetzer and you decide to just go in and do an Avera in secret, then it's better if you were never born. Okay. And Rambam explains it because it's a complete warping of the intellect.
It's a little funny because like the fact that he's dressing in black and going to
I'm gonna get to that in a second. Hold on a second. And then the second case is where you can't control your Yetzer. And the point that I make is you see that even when you can't control your Yetzer, you still can control your actions to the point where you can do damage control. He's still expected to dress in black and make the journey to go to a place where no one knows him. And you got to remember, in the olden days, doesn't mean you hop on a subway and just go to some random like place in in New York. It means you like take a long travel, like go into a place where no one knows you. So you see that even the guy who luckily I can't control myself is expected to control himself. He can't control himself about doing the Avera, but he can control himself about how he does the Avera and like the circumstances and damaging chilul Hashem and all this other stuff. Nice. So like that would be the advice that I would give, is that if you find yourself in a situation where you must make recourse to evil, so then always do the lesser of two evils, beware of consequences, like keep your Mishlei thinking going. Yeah, Zach, you said you had
I feel like Bisman is that like that's equivalent to like going to like a third world country without internet.
Yeah, right.
Like it's like
and be sure to turn off your GPS.
Right? It's like
yeah, Zach.
So I was actually had an interesting idea that I'm thinking about. It might even be applicable to a lot of Mishlei pasuks, pesukim, but basically, I think it's always easier to reverse engineer a solution. So if you know that there's a certain outcome, and being able to reverse engineer it is a lot easier than trying to add the pieces together.
Yeah.
And so if you're aware that of like, and you believe that the principle of like bad leads to bad and good leads to good, and those conclusions are already like foregone for you, then when you're in a situation where you feel like you have no choice but to do bad, and you're like, well, what is the inherent truth of our reality? That is like bad will lead to bad and good will lead to good. So even though I think I'm stuck, like I know that good is the only way out of here, so I'm just going to reverse engineer that.
Okay, that is a good,
And I think that like in the pasuk itself, I think that's part of like the like incredible value of saying like what the outcome is. He's telling us explicitly, bad will come to you. So like it gives you a conclusion, and it gives you like the freedom now to reverse engineer in a specific situation.
And it makes for a good answer to your meta question about why he frames it in just good and bad terms, because that's really what this is about, according to your interpretation. Yeah. Okay, that ended up being a good pasuk. I mean, they're all good pasukim. Ended up being having good ideas. I was a little scared that we wouldn't have anything, but that
was great. Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming. I'm glad you were able to come, Zach. I guess next week we're gonna be back to our normal time zone difference. But every Mishlei pasuk learned is another gold coin. So
exactly. Yeah.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.